5 million years ago, the Earth stood on the precipice of a monumental transformation. The age of the great apes was fading. The reign of colossal predators continued unabated. And here, in the vast, sweeping savannas of Africa, a new figure stepped onto the world stage. They were small. They were fragile. But they carried within them a spark that no other creature possessed, the very first glimmer of humanity. This was the dawn of our story. The world they inherited, the Pliocene epoch, was a landscape in constant flux. Ancient forests retreated, giving way to endless grasslands. Mighty rivers carved deep valleys through the heart of Africa. Across these plains thundered great herds of antelope and the ancestors of elephants. But this newfound openness came with a terrible price. For creatures that once found safety in the dense canopy of trees, life on the ground presented a stark choice: adapt or perish. And from this crucible of change, a new being emerged: Australopithecus, an early hominin that took a revolutionary step literally. They walked upright on two legs, standing barely 4 feet tall, with long arms and ape-like faces. They were not yet human as we recognize ourselves today, but their bipedal stride was a game-changer. It freed their hands that could now carry food, throw projectiles, and grasp the very first tools of survival. With every upright step they took, the blueprint of humanity was being meticulously drawn. But they did not rise in a world of peace. The plains belonged to killers. Saber-toothed cats, with teeth like daggers, lay in ambush in the tall grass. The ancestors of hyenas, larger and far stronger than their modern descendants, hunted in ruthless, organized packs. And in the rivers, crocodiles, as long as buses, lurked beneath the surface, their powerful jaws ready to snap shut with bone-breaking force. For these first humans, every drink of water, every cautious step into the open grass, was a gamble with death itself. Yet, in their fear, they discovered their greatest weapon: ingenuity. They learned to pick up stones, using them as hammers to crack open the bones of carcasses for the rich, life-sustaining marrow inside. They sharpened sticks into crude but effective spears. They learned that a volley of hurled rocks could drive back a curious predator. Against sheer muscle and fang, they stood little chance. But with the power of tools, the warmth of fire, and the strength of unity, they began to level the battlefield. Imagine a small troop of Australopithecus, foraging across the savannah. But they are not alone. Shadows move with them. Suddenly, from the tall grass, a pair of saber-toothed cats emerge, muscles rippling, their terrifying fangs glinting in the sun. The hominins freeze, fear etched on their faces, but they do not scatter and run. Instead, they find their courage. They scream, they wave branches wildly, they hurl stones with a surprising, desperate accuracy. The cats charge. One leaps, a blur of deadly force, only to be met by a sharpened spear thrust forward by a brave defender. The point pierces its chest. The great cat thrashes violently, roaring in rage and pain, before collapsing into a cloud of dust. The second cat, stunned by this unexpected resistance, snarls and retreats into the grass. For the first time, in this brutal world, the hunter has become the hunted. Moments like this clash forged something new and powerful within their minds: memory, strategy, the ability to teach and to learn. They began to gather in larger, more organized groups for protection. They shared food, ensuring the survival of the collective. They passed knowledge from one generation to the next, a legacy of survival whispered around flickering campfires. Under the vast, starry sky, they became more than just survivors. They became a people. But this journey was paved with sacrifice. Survival was a brutal equation. The weak and the slow were often left behind. Children were lost to the ever-present predators. Entire groups could starve during prolonged droughts, their bones left to be picked clean by scavengers under the unforgiving sun. The story of humanity's rise was written not just in triumphs, but in profound tragedy. 5 million years ago, the first humans walked the earth. They were not yet masters of fire, nor were they builders of cities. But with each defiant step, they fought back against extinction. With each stone tool they crafted, they claimed their right to survive. From these small, tenacious beings would eventually come Homo erectus. From them would come Homo sapiens. From them would come all of us. This was the dawn of humanity. And it began here, in blood, in fire, and in the unyielding will to survive. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the epic story of our planet. We'll see you in the next one.